Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about finding the light. So I'm Daniel Norton, I'm a photographer here in New York. I make videos like this one. This one's going to be a little bit about technique, I guess. And I make them about philosophy and gear and other things, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go ahead and subscribe. So this comes down to the idea of shooting with natural light. Now I mostly, if you watch my videos on other channels and we talk here a lot, I talk about controlling your light. I talk about creating your own light. I talk about how I think that is really what shapes a photographer. That's your style, is how you use light. That being said, especially when you're first starting, a good practice or technique to get into is to learn how to find light. Finding the light is useful for, number one, if you cannot light things, like you don't have lights to light with and you need to make a photo, but it also allows you to practice your ability or your knowledge of how light operates in a way that will become just more and more natural to you. So what I mean by that is this. If you understand the basic properties of light, meaning the hard soft, let's say, which is, and then we've got hard and soft, right? Your hard light is going to be abrupt transition between light and shadow, hard line, right? Your soft light has a more gradual transition between light and shadow, so a soft line, right? That's hard versus soft. Your diffuse light is going to spread the highlights out to be more diffused, right? Which means that you're going to be less specular, you're going to have less highlight, and your specular light, which is the opposite of that, is going to have bright highlights, right? That's kind of your as far as lighting is concerned. There's also color, but we're not going to talk about that. Well, maybe a little bit. If you understand those things and how to create those things or how to see those things, and we look around us, like I'm in very, very soft light right now. Why am I in soft light? I'm in soft light, well, first of all, it's very cloudy, right? So the clouds themselves are creating the softness of the light because the sun is not a direct small source shooting at me. Remember, the hardness, softness has to do with the size of the light source. So the clouds are my light source. But even if the sun was in the sky when I'm on this porch, it's pretty much always soft light. And the reason for that is this is north, right? And where I am, the sun is always to the south of me. So if this is lighting me, which they often call north light, well, creative, basically the blue sky is lighting me. The blue sky is it's spreading the light out, which means it's very soft. It's basically bounced light, right? I'm also in shade, right? I'm on a porch. I'm covered, right? That's why I can be out here when it rains. And these things create the soft light. If I know I want soft light because I want it to be even, like I want it here because I want it to be, I don't want to have to deal with shadows and stuff, because this is just a very basic video that I just want you guys to be able to see me. I'm not going to go crazy, right, trying to make my light hard or moody or anything for these videos. When I shoot some of my other ones where I'm in my office, I actually use a light source, and I created a little bit more, oh, train's going by. I created a little bit more moody light because I can, and it's fun, and I like to create moody light, right? If I wanted to create that outside, and it wasn't a cloudy day, right, I could do that by putting myself in the sun, right? Because the sun is going to create those harsh shadows. So understanding how that works is very important. And this is also, you could find a street light or light coming from a window, as if it's dark out, right? Or coming from a window if you're outside, or coming from the outside in through a window if you're inside, right? These things will shape and change the way the light is. And I've talked about this before where like people generally use the term window light as this soft light, but that's not actually true. It depends on where your windows are, right? If my windows are on the south side of the building and the sun's there, I might have harsh light coming through the windows. Whereas if I have, it's not on the sunny side of the building or the sun's not directly shining through the windows, I might have softer light. So it really kind of depends. And knowing that, right, we can, even if you're not actually shooting, even if you're just looking around and you see areas or pools of light that you think would be appropriate for a shoot, you can analyze how that light was created. And by having that knowledge, it really helps you build your own light. It helps you to learn, hey, this is the light that I like. I saw that the sun, was like this, and that's the reason why the light was like that. I'm standing, let's say, for instance, I'm standing on a street, and the sun is bouncing off a building to the north side because the sun's to the south of me, right? So I'm in the shade, right? Because I'm on the shady side because there's another building, right? So let's say I'm standing in the shade, and normally you might have north light, but in this case, the sun's up high. It's striking a building that has windows, right, across the street. The light's reflecting off those windows and coming down, and how's the light going to be? It's probably going to be hard. The reason for that is the windows are going to reflect the source, and the source is small, right? It's not diffusing it as much. They're going to, a window is basically like a mirror, right? It's just glass, bounce back. So generally speaking, you're going to be able to get hard light. And you might have this hard light with like a bit of mix of fill because all the soft light that's bouncing around where it's not hitting windows, right? So these are things that we can start to create different types of light with, and we can think about how light works, you know? What would it be like if you had, let's say, a white wall and you shot your flash into it, but then you also put, you hung a couple pieces of glass or a mirror or put one silver reflector in the center of the wall? How would that look? What would that do? And these are the things that natural light and finding the light can give us. It can give us the ideas to see the things that we might not normally think of, right? It's very easy to be like, oh yeah, you know, that photography lighting diagram book that I have says to put the softbox here. Yeah, but if you want to create light that's more interesting and more organic, you should look at what light does in nature and then take the best of that. I'm not saying copy it, because sometimes light's not great for photos. So oftentimes natural light isn't as good when you take a photo as you think it would be to your eyes, because, you know, your camera is not as forgiving as ours are. But anyways, that's what I want to talk about here. Let me know, guys, do you use natural light? I'm sure that everybody uses natural light on some level. Do you use it, though, to inspire your studio lighting or your controlled lighting? Do you ever look at it like that, or do you just think of it as a totally separate thing? That's what I'm curious about. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, guys, go ahead, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get all the notifications, and I'll see you next time.